Three, two, one. Hello, and welcome to today on the Popular Timeline Show. Today we have Diego Rivera. Right now he's actually asleep, so we are having a special guest to impersonate and tell us about him. Dun dun! Hello, I am here to impersonate Diego Rivera. Diego Rivera was born December 13th, 1886. Along with his twin brother Jose, who unfortunately passed away when he was only 1.5. A year later, the family moved to Mexico City. In 1896, when Diego Rivera was only 10, he started taking art. However, once little Diego got to age 13, his father enrolled him into a military college. Luckily, he was allowed to change to the college in San Carlos where he took art lessons. In early January of 1907, Rivera arrived in Spain and received a 4-year scholarship for European studying. In 1909, Rivera's next stop was Paris, where he met his first wife, Angeline Belov, a young Russian artist. In 1910, he returns to Mexico for an exhibition with the Independent Artists Association, but the following year returns to Paris, and from there travels to Spain, but uses Paris as his base, of course. In 1913, he transitions his paintings to Cubism, and the following year meets Picasso. In 1915, Rivera takes part in an exhibition that introduces Madrid to Cubism. In 1916, he has a son with Angeline and exhibits in New York with other Cubists and post-impressionist painters. In 1917, he breaks with the Cubist movement, and his paintings then follow the style of Cézanne. There we go. And Rivera continues to exhibit his artwork in Paris. In 1919, he has a daughter, Marika, with Marevna. The following year, Rivera is influenced by the sensuous quality of Renoir's paintings, so he then leaves for Italy to study. In 1921, Rivera leaves Paris and Angeline and returns to Mexico to take an art-related government position which has him painting in churches and convents. He meets Lupe Marin and the following year marries her, and they have a daughter, Ruth, in 1926. Rivera must have been quite the charmer because it sure could not have been his looks that attracted so many women. From 1922 and beyond, Rivera spent much of his time painting murals on walls, both inside and outside, like the one behind me, of public buildings. Some are considered controversial by the conservatives. Diego's lifestyle was probably considered controversial, something he shared with Frida Kahlo, another artist who he met in 1928, which his marriage to Marin ended. The following year, he married Frida Kahlo and was expelled from the Communist Party for not following some of the policies. From 1930 to 1934, Diego painted murals both for private parties and museums in California, New York, and Detroit. However, he is fired by the Rockefellers, who hired him when he paints Lenin into a mural, which is subsequently destroyed. A similar mural is then painted on the Palace of Fine Arts in Mexico City. In 1936, a friend of Diego's asked him to provoke refuge to the Trotskys, and he is able to obtain permission for this to occur from President Cardenas. However, in 1939, they have a falling out with the Trotskys, and the subsequent year, Rivera and Kahlo divorce, but later reconcile. They remarry that same year, when she follows him to San Francisco, where he is exhibiting. Siqueiros, another famous Mexican artist, leads an assassination attempt on Trotsky while he is staying at a Rivera home, and he is later killed by a Spaniard, Ramon Mercader. In 1943, Rivera paints murals that deal with historical themes such as the history of cardiology, which he painted on the National Institute of Cardiology, and the following year, the great city of Tenochtitlan, which he paints on the National Palace in Mexico City. That year, he also begins to teach painting and sculpture at the National School of Painting and Sculpture. Along with other famous Mexican painters, Orozco and Siqueiros, he forms the commission Commission of Mural Painting, an affiliate of the National Palace of Fine Arts. In 1951, he adds mosaics to his list of talents. Rivera and Kahlo remain active in fighting for causes they believe in all of their lives. Most of their causes dealt with fighting for a better life and for the ordinary person. In 1952, Rivera painted The Nightmare of War and The Dream of Peace, but this created controversy and it was removed by the Palace of Fine Arts and sent to China. In 1954, Frida Kahlo died. Very sad. Amazing artist. Not being a person who can be alone for very long, he marries Emma Hurtado the following year. That year, he sets up a trust fund, leaving Kahlo's Coyoacan home as a museum for the public to enjoy. Rivera dies of a heart attack in his San Angel studio, the home where he lived with Kahlo, the person who will always be considered his true love and soulmate. He is buried in the Rotunda of the Distinguished at the Dolores Pantheon in Mexico City. Alright, everybody, that was our impersonator of Diego Rivera to tell us about Diego Rivera. Thank you for joining us today on the Popular Timeline Show. That's all we have for today. See you again next time. I'm not kidding. Diego Rivera was not handsome at all. Not cute. I don't know how these women fell for him.